These accounts are not unusual. Children are left alone every day. What makes these cases different is how often the same things appear. Different houses, different families, different years. The children describe the same moments, the same sounds, the same realization. They understood they were alone longer than they were supposed to be. That is when the house began to feel different. The child did not realize they were alone right away. They believed someone was still in the house. For a while, this felt reassuring, until the house began to respond in ways it never had before. When children are left alone at home, adults expect nothing to happen. The house should remain unchanged. Lights stay where they are. Doors remain closed. Sounds stay familiar. This recording exists because, in several cases, the house did not remain the same. Something shifted after the adults left. The first account involves a child who was not supposed to be alone. An older sibling was meant to stay. He left. The child was not informed. At first, the house felt larger, quieter, but not threatening. Television noise filled the lower floor. Normal sounds continued. Floorboards adjusted. Appliances clicked on and off. As the evening progressed, the child became aware of how often the house announced itself. Not loudly, but constantly. Each sound required attention. Each pause felt longer than it should have. The television was turned off. Silence spread unevenly through the rooms. The upper floor felt smaller, more contained. Later, there was movement downstairs. Not sudden, not forceful. The kind of movement associated with familiarity. The child assumed someone known had returned. This assumption reduced fear. Briefly. When the exterior was checked, there was no vehicle. The bedroom door was locked. The lock was understood to be symbolic. The child selected the only available hiding place, a narrow closet built into the wall. Inside, the air was warm, stagnant. From within the closet, footsteps were audible, measured, unhurried. Drawers opened. Objects shifted position. The sounds moved closer, then away. Time became difficult to measure. Minutes extended. Breathing was controlled. At some point, a familiar voice spoke the child's name. Relief did not arrive immediately. It arrived later, after lights were activated, after rooms were checked. By morning, the house showed evidence of prior presence. Items were missing. No one could determine when the house stopped being empty, or how long it had remained that way. The child followed the rules. That is why the door was opened. In the second account, the child was younger, young enough to still trust instructions completely. They were left alone for a short period of time, less than an hour. Before leaving, the adult repeated the rules. Do not open the door. Do not answer it. The child agreed. The agreement felt simple. After the adult left, the house remained quiet. Not empty, just still. The child stayed in the living room. Television on, volume low. Time passed normally at first. Nothing demanded attention. Then the knock happened. Not loud, not violent. close. The child froze. For a moment, they did nothing. Then they remembered the rules and stayed where they were. The knock came again, identical to the first. The child called out from the room, asking who it was. The voice answered correctly. It said the adult's name, then the child's. This caused hesitation, not fear. The voice sounded calm, unhurried, certain. It explained why it was there. Something had been forgotten. The adult had sent them back. The child remembered the rules again and repeated them silently. Do not open the door. The voice waited. It did not rush. It did not knock again. The silence after the explanation felt heavier than the knock had. The child moved closer to the door. Not to open it, only to hear better. From that distance, the voice sounded clearer. Too clear. The child noticed something. The voice did not echo. It sounded as if the person was already inside. The door was unlocked. Not opened. Unlocked. The sound of the lock was louder than expected. The voice thanked the child. That was the moment the child understood they had made a mistake. After the lock was disengaged, the child did not move. They waited. The door remained closed. The voice remained calm. It spoke again, closer than before. The child realized the person had stepped forward. A hand touched the door. Not forcefully, testing. The handle moved slightly. Stopped. The child took a step back, then another. The voice apologized, said it did not mean to scare them. This made the child feel worse. The door opened, only part way, enough to change the sound of the room. The adult entered slowly, did not rush, did not look surprised. The child noticed the door closing behind them. Not slammed, just closed. The house became quiet again. Conversation continued about ordinary things, where the adults had gone, when they would be back. The adult moved deeper into the house. Each step measured. The child followed without choosing to. The kitchen light was turned on, too bright. The child stood near the counter, hands at their sides. The adult opened a drawer, not searching, selecting. Metal touched metal. The child looked at the floor, did not speak. The adult continued talking, voice steady, controlled. Time slowed. The child focused on staying still. The adult paused, then smiled. This was when the child realized the conversation had never been for them. It was to make the time pass. The moment ended abruptly, not by choice. A sound from outside. A car. The adult reacted instantly. Expression changed. They stepped back, toward the door. The child did not move, did not speak. The adult left without explanation. The door closed. Moments later, the real adults returned. The house felt different, smaller, heavier. Nothing was missing. Nothing was broken. The child tried to explain. The explanation sounded wrong. The adults listened, then dismissed it. Later, the child was told not to open the door again. They already knew. For years, the child remembered one sound: the lock. Not when it was turned, but when it was no longer enough. The child went to sleep believing the house was empty. They woke up knowing it was not. In the third account, the child was left alone overnight. This was not supposed to happen. The plan had been simple. The adults would return before bedtime. They did not. At first, the delay felt manageable. Then it became noticeable. Phone calls were unanswered. Messages were not returned. The child stayed awake longer than usual, waiting. Eventually, exhaustion replaced concern. Sleep arrived unevenly. The house was quiet, not active, not settled. At some point during the night, the child woke up. No sound had caused it. The waking felt internal. The room looked the same, dark, familiar. Then the child noticed they were not alone. The presence was not immediate, not obvious. It was detected through absence, a missing stillness. The child listened. The house did not respond. Breathing was slow, controlled. The child did not move. Movement felt unsafe. Eyes adjusted to the dark. Shadows became defined. Near the bed, there was a shape. Not moving, not reacting. The child considered explanations. Furniture, clothing, imagination. None held. The shape shifted slightly. That was enough. The child closed their eyes, not to sleep, to avoid confirmation. Time passed without measure. Seconds extended. The shape moved closer, slowly. The child felt breath. Not on skin, in space. It did not touch. It waited. The child did not scream. They did not move. The presence did not leave. It remained. Minutes passed, then longer stretches of time. At some point, exhaustion returned. Not as sleep, as collapse. The child lost awareness, not knowing when. When consciousness returned, the room was lighter. Not bright, just changed. Morning had arrived. The space beside the bed was empty. The shape was gone. No sound marked its departure. No movement was remembered. The house felt wrong in a different way. Too normal. The child stayed in the room, waiting. Eventually, doors opened elsewhere. Adult voices returned. They asked why the child was awake, why the lights were still on. The child tried to explain. Words failed. The adults listened briefly, then offered explanations. A dream, fear, imagination. The child accepted this explanation outwardly, because nothing else could be proven. Years later, one detail remained unchanged. Not the fear, not the shape, but the certainty that whatever had been in the room did not arrive during sleep. It had already been there before the child woke up. Nothing was confirmed. Nothing was followed up. The children were alone. The houses were not. Case 002 ends here.